Now, when you met with Debbie, once that first season, because if you're a fan of the show, you know season 1 is totally different from the rest of the series.
Yeah.
At that meeting with Debbie, did you know the tide was going to change a little bit? You could kind of feel that.
Oh, it was definitive. Part of there are two worldviews. So Ann Beats, who was the producer who passed away, I think last year. Ann Beats was a producer and writer on Saturday Night Live, and she produced this other show called Square Pegs. Ann Beats was brought in to produce this show. And while everyone talks about how much they didn't like the first season, we were only the second show in television history to debut and end the season at number 2. The only other show was Bewitched. Ann Beats was like, all I did was give Carsey Warner and NBC a mega hit. It's the number 2 show on television, and I got fired for it.
Wow.
So that's her world. And it's true. The numbers were staggering, right? Every week. But it was, Ann Beats' worldview was, this is just about guys wanting girls and girls, and it was very similar to Square Pegs. It was very high schoolish. I mean, look, Lisa Bonet is one of the most beautiful women in the world, and we put a pig nose on her face. Like, what are we doing? In college? They're like, this is not right. So that's when they reached out to Debbie. Even before we came back that summer, all of the writers went to Howard's homecoming. Debbie was like, come, we're going to an HBCU. Y'all gonna come with me to Howard, to my school. Bison's right on. And y'all gonna see what HBCU life is really like. This is what we're going to portray. And that was when it was, we're gonna make it real. And part of the reason Marissa didn't come back in the second season was Debbie said, look, there are white students that go to HBCUs, but we need to address it. And I don't think the network nor Carsey Warner wanted to have that frank conversation. And so they didn't. And that's kind of where that changed. And
I think her career turned out okay.
My cousin Benny, Marissa's history.
I've told this story a million times. It's not new. When we found out Marissa wasn't coming back, we were at somebody's house. We were at this party, and there were a bunch of tears and crying and hugging. And Kadeem said, don't worry, Marissa, you're white. You're going to win an Oscar.
What?
Win an Oscar. Won an Oscar.
What?
Told her that night. And, Marissa is super talented, an incredible and wonderful, wonderful woman and human being who I miss terribly. I have not seen her in years, but it's like, I know she and Lisa and I think even Cree see each other more often. I don't know if Kadeem saw somebody and somebody else just posted on social media. Yes, Aunt May was on a different world. Yeah, that's real talk.
That is crazy.
She's done great.
Now,
so happy.
I saw Kadeem. One of the I don't know what it was on, but they were doing the whole thing. It was Kadeem, Cree. They were talking. I didn't know they dated.
Oh yeah,
that's crazy. And then she's like, "Yeah, look at the scene where I kiss him," and and they zoom, they go, and it was like some old, like in the middle. I was like, that was, and you wonder how does that work? Two young people, and let me tell you something. When I used to come up to the Different World set, I was like, yeah, it is popping up here.
Yeah.
Like it was one of the best, liveliest sets with all the I mean, it was crazy. You had them dating. You had Gary Durdan, who was an extra.
I don't know if Gary was ever. He
was an extra. I saw him with no lines. I seen him in background scenes several times.
Now see that may be something I have to find.
Yeah.
When Gary came on to Shaza and was crushing Shaza.
Before he started speaking, let me say that. Maybe kind of the same trajectory you took before he started speaking. I saw him in a few episodes where he didn't have any lines.
I'm gonna check that because look, you can always learn something new.
Yeah.
And once again, even we learn new things whenever we get together and start telling stories. So when Cree talked about her audition process, and she said she had just gotten to LA from Canada, she hadn't been there that long, and I tell everyone when Cree got the job, said, you know that cartoon you see with the bulldog and he's walking around and the other dog, hey Spike, how you doing? Hi, Spike. That was Cree. She come to work every day. Oh my gosh, we're so happy to be. Do you guys know this show is so good? I've been watching this show. This is so wonderful. Man, I can't believe I'm here. I was in Canada, but now I'm in Los Angeles. And look, I'm on the show and I'm with you guys. I used to watch you every day. And I was like, oh my gosh, where did this girl come from? She was just so excited and happy, and it's sweet and all that. But when she talked about, she came to audition and she said, the weirdest thing that we didn't know, she was auditioning against like the other girl for the role. And they asked her, would you mind if she spent the night with you and come back for network tomorrow? And she said, okay. She took some stranger and let her spend the night at her house.
What? I can see how that happens. Because you don't want to tell the higher ups, no, you put on the spot. You like, if I say no, they're going to think bad of me. You young, you an actress, you don't know no better.
That's a tough spot to be in.
Unbelievable.
This was back then. Wasn't no rules.
Yeah.
Wasn't no rules back then.
Right.
Yeah. That's a tough spot.
We were blown away. And you know, there's always some little competitive kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But she said she came in the next day when it was time to audition, and Kadeem walked in the door and she said, she just saw him and said, I'm going to get this job and that man.
Yes. I see.
And got both.
Yes.
And did both. Yes, that was her motivation. Wow. She like, I'm going to get that and him.
That's crazy, man.
And here's so Kadeem and Cree are actually dating. Cree and Jasmine are really close, but Jasmine's real boyfriend was the character Julian, Dominic Hoffman, who was on the show.
Yeah.
And so Kadeem is playing love interest with Jasmine, who's Cree's best friend. So they're kissing each other today. We're all friends with Dominic, who was also in School Days, and Kadeem is kissing his girlfriend every day. Then when Ron breaks up with Kim, Ron starts dating Cree, so now I'm kissing my best friend's girlfriend every day. I mean, you know, it's just like all the stuff that's going on behind the scenes, just like, wow. Somebody wrote in, you know, I like the different world, but then it got all incestual.
Well, we didn't know from watching at the house. At the house, we were like, yeah, it's getting good.
Yeah,
we didn't know no better.
Yeah. That's what it was
all
like.
good.
That's what it was like in school. I know, you know what I mean? Everybody, you know, one day this was talking to this one, this talking, and we just kept it moving.
I was like, well, you can't have a relationship with someone who's not on camera. That doesn't work. Right. So you can only date the folks who are here. So that's the way it works. So
you know, in those stories, man, like especially in the casting process, and I go back to Homeboys in Outer Space. Because I remember getting a call from D Bell, and I don't know if you knew the other side, or because I don't know if you knew about. Did you know about Mel Jackson?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so Mel Jackson, who was in Soul Food, who played the one who got Makai the job and was talking about the Coke bottle.
Yeah,
he was the original Morris in Homeboys. So, and I only bring that up because I remember you saying, you know, you were driving, you know, Kadeem back and forth to work. That's what I did for Mel as we were doing the pilot, because he's here from Chicago.
Yeah.
Didn't know anybody. Would take him to the barbershop, all that, boom, boom, boom. And this was my first introduction to how cold the game is, you know, before I had it done to me later.
Right.
But, you know, we do the pilot, all that, and they're going to pick it up. And then I just get a call from this dude. He's like, hey, what's up, man? I'm like, well, yeah, we're going to do this thing. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I'm Morris. You know, I'm on the show. I was like, I hadn't experienced that. I didn't know, and I never heard. And right after that, nobody explained anything to me. I didn't hear from Mel anymore. It was, and he and I didn't talk. We just spoke recently because I was a little hurt. I was like, you know, hey man, I was there for you. You know what I mean? And he had success and went on with Soul Food and some other things. And you know, I was like, bro, I was there for you. But a lot of people don't know how those stories go. I tell my story about Blue Bloods all the time. You know, doing the pilot. They're like, yeah, man, pick your apartment, da 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 da, and then not, you know.
Well, funny you mentioned it because Mel and I talked, because I remember Mel said he wanted to watch it because he said to me, and I'm from Chicago, and Mel knows some of my family and all that.
Okay.
So Mel said, I remember him telling me he wanted to watch because he wanted to see in my performance what they were looking for that he wasn't doing. I said, I don't know that you'll ever get that. You'll never know because that's the way things work. It might have been you were just 1 inch too tall. You know, you'll never know what.
And new. He was very new. This was he was very new.
You never can know. But I'll share the flip side of that, going the other direction. Mm-hmm. When they were casting for Denise on the Cosby Show, it was between Lisa Bonet and this other actress. And back then, right before you go to network, you got the contract, and it's for a 5-year contract. Yeah. And this actress looked at the contract, saw it was 5 years, and said, "Well, I can't do this." And they said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I'm not signing a contract for 5 years." It's like, this is Bill Cosby. This is all this. She's like, "Now I'm gonna be a singer." It was like, "All right, do you have a record deal?" Yeah. No. Well, who told you could sing? My mother. Where do you sing? At church. Whitney Houston.
Yeah, it was Whitney. Whitney, look, Whitney, like, listen, check me in a couple of years, okay? Saving all my love for you.
Same story with Maggie, Marissa Tomei. It was her and this other actress. Mm-hmm. Got that 5-year contract. Said, can't do it. Why not? I got a role in this movie. Said, well, yeah, but this is a spinoff of the Cosby Show. This is gonna be amazing. Yeah, no, I got cast in this movie. I gotta go do this movie. Well, are you the star of the movie? No. Are you the co-star? No. She wouldn't do it. Meg Ryan, the movie was Top Gun. Wow. And she went to do that instead. Wow.
Yeah. Sometimes, look, sometimes, and maybe, you know, some people just have that intuition, and sometimes people have a team behind them who are kind of telling them, no, you need to, this is the move. Sometimes you just luck in, sometimes you just luck out.
And I think, and also, it's weird because when people have that no fear attitude, like, you know, whatever, you know, I'm passing it. It always seems to work out.
If you don't do it for money, if you do it for the right reasons, then generally that works out.